Well, hello, everyone. Show of hands, how many of you would consider yourself a gamer? We got a few, okay. How many of you have recently played a game on a mobile or PC device? Much more. There we go. That's the right answer.
Glad that worked, actually.
I know, exactly. That was a risk. So the definition of a gamer has really changed. And over the last several years, the size of the gaming audience has really exploded.
Yeah, and there are a lot of reasons for that. You know, new consoles, broadband access, but what's really been the driver of that is accessibility. And the fact that everyone's now playing whenever they want, whenever they want, through mobile devices. And that everybody has a powerful gaming device right in your hand or right in your pocket. Now, it's not only, the growth only isn't because of the devices, but it's the types of games that these devices lend themselves to, you know, snackable games, games for every demographic, and that there's tons of them. It's never been easier to publish a game than it is right now. Over 1,000 new games are uploaded to the App Store every week. Now, the other thing that's driving this growth and really breaking down the barriers of entry is a business model that we're going to talk about, which is freemium games, and breaking down that barrier of cost. And what a freemium game is, it's a business model where you download the game for free, and you're able to play that game for free, but advanced features cost money, things like virtual goods, levels, currency, things like that. So it's a pay-as-you-go model, try before you buy, things like that. And you all are aware of freemium games. You've all played a freemium game. 30 to 40% of you, at least, have played Candy Crush. Subway Surfers as well as another big one. But what you might not have known is 9 out of 10 of the most downloaded games worldwide in 2013 were freemium games. So they definitely they're popular and they definitely dominate the iTunes Store and the Google Play market. Not only from a download perspective, but from a revenue perspective as well. 80% of the revenue made from games in the iOS Store is from in-app purchases, not from paid games. So this is where the demand is, this is where the revenue is, and developers have to follow suit. So it's really a snowball effect. But the reality is, even though it's where the demand is, even though it's where the gamers are, few gamers pay. This is conservative. Only 1.5% of gamers actually pay when they've downloaded a freemium game. So game developers are trying to monetize, or actually trying to maintain and trying to build new games, but they're also trying to monetize. They have to monetize to be able to do that. And all the developers are fighting over this 1.5%. So it's really a struggle. It's a major disruption, and it's something both large and small publishers are dealing with right now.
So for developers, the real challenge is to try to monetize that 98.5% of the entire gaming audience that really isn't pulling any money out of their pocket. So how do they do that? Well, one potential business model to do that is called value exchange advertising. Now, what is value exchange advertising? It's pretty simple. You get something of value to you in return for engaging with an advertiser's ad. Okay? So we like to think of this as, we've all thrown a dinner party, right? Some of the best guests have a typical profile. First off, it's pretty obvious, they're invited. It's pretty rude if somebody shows up at your dinner party uninvited, right? Secondly, they show up with something that you as a host or hostess values, like a bottle of wine or dessert. Third, they're an interesting guest. They offer something of interest. They're engaging throughout the dinner party. And probably most importantly, they know when to leave, right? So you can get on with your evening, you can do the dishes and go to bed. That's exactly what value exchange advertising is. So let's take a look at an example here. So in this example, if a gamer's playing a game, you can see there's an offer. And this is purely opt-in. It's not interrupting the gaming experience. The gamer can choose to ignore that, or they can click on that. In this case, this is a reward for watching a Lexus ad. In exchange, they get gold, which they can use to upgrade their car within the game. So if they choose to engage, they watch a video from Lexus, and at the end, they receive their reward. And then they move on to uninterrupted gameplay. So this is value exchange advertising. And Wild Tangent and EA, two of the world's largest game publishers and distributors, partnered together to truly understand the impact of value exchange advertising across the entire gaming ecosystem. That includes gamers, game developers, and marketers. What's the impact of value exchange on these audiences? What are the benefits? And is there a downside?
That's right. As Jay said, there are three different pillars that we wanted to look at. The first, we are game publishers. The first and foremost is always the gamer. The gamer always comes first. So value exchange advertising, what was the effect and what was the impact on the gamer? What kind of game models do they prefer? What type of ad models do they prefer? And is this reward enough? Is the value exchange the right ratio for the gamer to watch the advertising and appreciate it? For the developers, we wanted to, of course, understand how does value exchange affect gameplay and how does it affect monetization, of course, as well. But also, what is the demonstrated opinion impact? What's the impact for the opinion on the game? Do gamers appreciate the game more or less? Is there a negative impact, potentially, from value exchange advertising? And then for marketers, is this a critical marketing product? Is this a product that marketers will want? Does it drive those key brand metrics? And how does it compare to other media as well?
So from a methodology standpoint, we partnered with SaySo on this really unprecedented research in the gaming industry. And it was unprecedented in the sense that with a single data source, we were able to connect survey responses with in-game behaviors for those exact gamers. So once and for all, we could tie together and connect what gamers say with what they actually do in-game. And the results were significant.
So again, first and foremost is the gamer. These are some of the results here. We found that 86% of gamers prefer free games with ads over paid games. Now, this is not a surprise. It actually validates what we're seeing in the industry. So it's a good way for us to validate that this research was sound and we're seeing the right things. 71% prefer games with opt-in ads over games without. So gamers like to have the choice. They like that they get the invitation and then they can kick out the dinner guest, right? So great analogy there. And then once they went through the value exchange advertising, 66% want more opportunities to earn rewards through ads. So not only were the rewards a good exchange of value, which is one thing we wanted to measure, but they'll actually watch more rewards, more ads to gain those rewards. So definitely a critical product here. There we go.
For developers, and this I think was one of the most powerful pieces of the research. We were able to isolate gameplay behaviors prior to any exposure to Brand Boost, 2 weeks prior, and then we looked at behaviors 2 weeks after exposure to value exchange advertising. And the results were dramatically different. So after exposure to value exchange advertising, more gamers spent more money more often and played the game longer. So after exposure to value exchange advertising, gameplay increased 22%. The number of gamers that pulled out their money and spent money in the game almost doubled. Remember that 1.5% figure from earlier? This was very significant for developers. And when they did pull out their money, they spent more money, 120% more purchases. And all of this didn't impact the gaming experience negatively. In fact, almost half of the gamers said they enjoy games more, they like games more when value exchange ads are present.
So lastly, for the marketer, what we found is because games are such a lean-forward experience, there's no multitasking, very engaging, that the value exchange ads are 100% opt-in. Gamers can watch them whenever they want. And because they're watching these ads and they're waiting for this reward, they're excited for the reward, we found really significant results for the marketers as well. We found 89% of gamers, after watching the ads, recalled them in the games, so extremely high recall rates. In-game ads drive 2 times more post-ad actions than live TV. And these are things, any sort of engagement with the brand after watching the ads, so things like searching for the brand online, or the big driver actually was also telling a friend about the sponsorship in the game, and that's extremely important for developers and marketers as well. In-game video ads are 22% more noticeable than live TV ads, and they're 75% more noticeable than streaming video. That's things like mid-roll and pre-roll. So definitely a critical product that should be included in the marketing mix.
So as you can see with value exchange ads in freemium games, everybody wins. Gamers prefer games with value exchange ads. Developers have found a new monetization stream. And marketers have more effective ways to engage with their target audiences.
Yeah, and finally, we want to share with you what's the point of research if you don't activate against it or leverage it. So what Jay and I have been doing is now that we've completed this research, we've been sharing it with game developers and our game teams. And what they do, once they dig into the data, once they see the results, but more importantly, once they dig into the methodology and they see that we're not only doing survey work, but we're fusing it with that telemetry data, they're more comfortable with value exchange advertising. We've seen a lot more developer teams put the tech in the game. And what that leads to is millions of more hours of gameplay and rewards redeemed, billions of impressions, critical, engaged impressions for marketers. And for the developers, they're able to monetize all 100% of their gamers across the entire spectrum. Really, value exchange advertising, what we found, boosts the entire ecosystem. As Jay said, everybody wins.
So for those of you who are interested in learning more about our research or the freemium game industry in general, we have a white paper that IHS has developed. It's on their webpage, homepage, ihs.com. Thanks to EA and SaySo for this interesting piece of research.
Thanks to Wild Tangent. Thank you all.